There's a concept in the tech world that I think has become unbelievably important to a lot of people, and it is the concept of the hardware and even software ecosystem. When you look at brands like Apple, who sit at the absolute head of the technological world, the ecosystem is a really, really potent weapon for them. If you use an iPhone, you probably, if you have a tablet, are going to use an iPad. If you buy a laptop, it will be a MacBook. If you buy a desktop computer, it will probably also have an Apple logo on it because these things work well together. You're going to get a cohesive experience, not just in terms of the software, but in terms of the appearance of the hardware and all sorts of other things. They will all just work well together. And if you are an OEM making hardware products like that, that is so very effective because it just allows you to sell more things. You can basically treat almost every product you own like a loss leader. If they bought the phone, they are X percentage more likely to then buy more of our products, right? So it's extremely, extremely potent. And because of that, we see other companies trying to do the same sorts of things, right? Samsung has definitely tried to do the same sort of things. You have phones, tablets, laptops, earbuds, watches, on and on and on, all Samsung products, and they are very good. And I think Samsung has a strong argument for having the second strongest ecosystem. But another brand that is potentially near and dear to your heart, as I put my Pixel Watch back on for the morning after being charged, is Google with their Pixel devices. They are a company that they've got sort of their own burgeoning ecosystem as well. And we have a new story to talk about right now that sort of indicates that they are taking that more and more seriously while also sort of expanding things a little bit further. What I'm referring to is this very headline: big changes at Google, Pixel, Nest, and Fitbit teams to merge under one hardware umbrella. Now, before we go any further, I do want to mention that this merger does have an unfortunate negative side effect. Fitbit leaders are leaving the company, and around 1,000 employees are also getting pink slipped. They're being let go. As I said in another video talking about Google Assistant, we wish these individuals only the best of luck in finding employment going forward. I hope that it is a brief unemployment and they can find a job that they're happy with very soon. Always sad to see people losing their jobs at any time of the year. So yeah, our heart goes out to those individuals. Getting back to the topic at hand, what we have here are the Pixel, Nest, and Fitbit teams, which previously operated as independent entities, now joining forces under a single hardware team. And this obviously begs the question, what does this mean for Google's hardware ambitions and the future of their smart home devices, as well as their wearables and their phones? I think the obvious answer is that by collapsing these distinct teams into one, under one vision and one sort of forward momentum, they're aiming to leverage the expertise and resources of each brand to kind of create a more unified hardware ecosystem that draws from inspiration, maybe you could say, from the Apple ecosystem, the Samsung ecosystem. They're looking at the successes of these other companies and maybe trying to kind of emulate this stuff through, again, bringing all these divisions under one umbrella. Now, obviously, there is some risk with doing that, right? You're bringing a lot of stuff under one umbrella and you're reducing the size of the team. So can that new unified team handle the demands, the rather diverse demands of smartphones, wearables, phones, earbuds, on and on and on? All this stuff happening under one team, that's a lot for one team to handle, unless, of course, they are properly supported. It may be totally reasonable to worry about this potentially not only stifling the innovation, but also potentially losing the distinctness between these brands, right? So you don't necessarily want to go too far. If your Fitbit devices are so similar to your Pixel Watch devices that they're basically canceling each other out, that's not a good thing. You don't want them to all just be, one thing. So if they're all under this one umbrella, is innovation going to slow down? And are their differences going to be diminished? Are the distinct identities of these different brands or sub-brands going to be lost? Just looking at the Pixel's kind of clean and more simplistic software presentation and comparing it to Fitbit's robust fitness platform with so much data and analytics and all these things, as these two things merge, it could become more diluted and more homogenized and maybe just kind of lose some of the magic that made them both great. Even still, with the potential risks, I think that the potential rewards mean that it is absolutely worth doing. If you ever are going to compete with a company like Apple, you kind of have to do things the Apple way, and that does indeed involve doing exactly what they're doing. It involves a strong, unified vision, and that is precisely what Google is trying to accomplish here. Now, there is one rather large void for me in the Google or Pixel ecosystem, and that is Chromebooks. Far too few people, I think, realize how good Chromebooks have actually gotten. Personally, what I would love to see Google do is introduce another Pixelbook style device that would kind of take the Chromebook Plus thing and make it more, or I guess I should say, place it more in the forefront of their marketing. Samsung has a laptop, Apple has a MacBook, Pixel users need their own laptop. And yes, you could say just buy any Chromebook Plus and it's going to work really well, and you will be absolutely right. However, you want to be able to control this stuff a bit more, right? So you could say the same thing about Android phones until Pixel devices came along and it became clear that Pixel devices could carve out their own niche as a subcategory of Android devices. Make a Pixelbook, do some Pixel stuff that is exclusive to the Pixelbook, and it will help bring attention to Chromebooks in general, but it will also place this laptop forward as the device for the Google ecosystem. And while you're at it, make sure it's a convertible, probably like a stylus. I know you've done this before. Do it again. Do it a little bit better and actually market the thing. Pixelbook Plus has a great ring to it. I think this also just kind of underlines how serious Google is in this market. By doing this merger, by trying to accomplish this goal of sort of, mimicking Apple, they are clearly signaling that they are pushing ahead even further and further. Pixel phones are selling better year after year now. They are slowly beginning to scratch and claw their way up in terms of market share. Still very low, no question, but it is growing. Of course, their presence with wearables, Fitbit in particular, is already fairly strong. Their Nest devices are well liked, if not a little overpriced, and the subscriptions are probably a little bit overpriced as well. They are definitely sort of growing their presence in these areas. And if they want to continue growing, this unified approach is pretty much a requirement at this point. Ultimately, the success of this hardware merger is going to hinge on execution. Whether it leads to a revolution in connected living or a confusing mishmash of functionalities remain to be seen. Only time will tell, but I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What do you think about this? What does this say to you? Would you be interested in further investing into a Google ecosystem, much the same way that Apple users absolutely love being inside their walled garden? Would you be interested in placing yourself in a Google quote unquote walled garden, which I would imagine would be a whole lot less walled than than an Apple walled garden, because you could still mix and match quite a bit more easily. Let me know to what degree you would googly wall yourself in those comments down below, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.